Team leader, Kim Cheol-su, steps down, and his team throws him a farewell party, singing, "We wish you a Merry Christmas." Kim thinks, how did it end up like this? He dreamed of becoming a CEO. Kim recalls his journey, wondering why life took a different turn. His team presents him with a microphone. Kim begins a heartfelt speech, expressing gratitude to his team for making the gathering possible. He thanks them for their hard work, acknowledging it wasn't easy working under his leadership. Kim's team teases him, and he jokingly tells them not to interrupt. Kim praises his team for trusting and following him, assuring them the team can function without him. He encourages them to keep doing what they're doing. Someone suggests they listen to a song by Kim, and he hesitantly agrees, despite being bad at singing. Kim takes the microphone and his team cheers him on. Kim realizes that no matter how well you do your job, having a support system is crucial. People need someone to lean on, and Kim is grateful for his team. Kim's team presents him with a gift, showing appreciation for his leadership. As Kim looks at the gift, he feels a mix of emotions, grateful for the recognition, yet saddened by the end of an era. The party comes to a close, and Kim's team bids him farewell, thanking him for his leadership and guidance. Despite the bittersweet moment, Kim leaves with a sense of pride and accomplishment, knowing he made a difference in his team's lives. Kim Cheol-su's colleague is shocked by his decision to leave the company, feeling he's done too much for the firm to just quit. Cheol-su's friend Park Jun is furious about the company's restructuring plans, insisting Cheol-su shouldn't be the one to leave. Jun believes being silent and working hard doesn't guarantee success, wishing he'd been more tactful in the past. Cheol-su reflects on his life, wondering what would have happened if he'd been less foolish and more tactful. He thinks about his work, home, and dreams, wishing he could go back in time. Suddenly, Cheol-su finds himself back in his childhood bedroom. His friend Young-soo is there, and Cheol-su is confused. Cheol-su's mom calls out, telling him to hurry up and eat breakfast. He's surprised to see pork belly on the menu, and his mom explains it's a special meal for his first day of work. Cheol-su is perplexed, feeling like he's dreaming. As he gets ready for work, he's unsure what's real and what's just a vivid dream. He looks at himself in the mirror, wondering if this is a second chance. Cheol-su's mom reminds him to wear his lucky tie, and he can't help but smile. He heads downstairs, feeling a mix of excitement and nervousness. Kim Cheol-su walks into the lobby, feeling a mix of nostalgia and excitement. He reunites with a classmate from 20 years ago, Hwang Dae-hun. As they catch up, Cheol-su is approached by Executive Director Park Jun-hyung, who seems familiar. Park Jun-hyung reveals they met at the interview, and Cheol-su recalls the incident on his first day of work 20 years ago. Cheol-su is surprised to be called separately on his first day of work. Park Jun-hyung explains he has a special task for him, which is why he brought Cheol-su to the headquarters. Cheol-su is curious, wondering what this task could be. Park Jun-hyung introduces An Jung-gyun, Deputy Manager of Sales Team 5, where Cheol-su will be working. Park Jun-hyung asks Cheol-su to regularly report on An's actions, trusting him to handle the task. Cheol-su thinks to himself, I really went back in time. He's determined to make the most of this second chance. Park Jung's request seems simple, but Cheol-su senses there's more to it. He's eager to prove himself and make a good impression. Executive Director Park Jun-hyung's choice of Kim Cheol-su raises eyebrows among the team members. One of them questions Park's decision, citing Cheol-su's unimpressive academic credentials and lack of remarkable qualities. Park explains that he needs someone desperate and eager to please, someone who will follow instructions without questioning. He believes Cheol-su fits the bill. The team leader, seemingly fed up with the constant changes, expresses frustration about having to drink every time new members join. He's also annoyed about having to leave again. Another team member, Ju-hak, is asked to fetch drinks, but he replies that there's nothing available. The conversation turns to the new youngest member, with someone joking that he must be lost due to his poor grades. However, they're quickly shut down by a colleague who warns them to watch their words. Just then, Kim Cheol-su arrives, introducing himself as the new member of Sales Team 5. He's eager to start and asks everyone to take care of him. The team exchanges awkward glances, still unsure about Cheol-su's abilities. Kim Cheol-su thinks back to manager Park Jun-young's impressive career, from ordinary employee to head of HR at headquarters. Park's influence extends globally, and Cheol-su realizes he's been exploited as a rookie employee. Unbeknownst to Cheol-su at the time, Park had an ulterior motive, using him to spy on team leader An Jong-gyu, with whom Park isn't on good terms. Park emphasizes the importance of reporting properly and following instructions. Cheol-su, now aware of Park's true intentions, decides to play along. He stands up, shouting that he'll do his best. Park is pleased, and Cheol-su thinks to himself that this time things won't go as Park planned. Park comments on Cheol-su's great spirit, and a colleague jokes that it's just because Cheol-su has a loud voice. Cheol-su offers to buy drinks, and Park teases him about trying to bribe him on his first day. Cheol-su laughs, saying seniors should enjoy the drinks too, and asks them to take care of him. As they clink glasses, Cheol-su is determined to outsmart Park and make the most of this second chance. Kim Cheol-su observes his new colleagues, thinking to himself that everyone seems just like before. Manager Pyo Il-soo greets him warmly, while another colleague, Jak Young, is busy reviewing paperwork. Cheol-su recalls how team leader An was dishonorably retired due to his actions in the past. As Cheol-su takes his seat, he's introduced to assistant manager Lee Jun-hak, whom he admires for his exceptional work ethic and sharp personality. Lee Jun-hak heads out for a meeting, leaving Cheol-su to interact with his colleagues. One of them, a quirky individual, starts questioning Cheol-su about his educational background. Cheol-su reveals he graduated from Gudong University, majoring in practical music. His colleague is surprised, asking about work-related qualifications or language skills. Cheol-su admits he lacks experience, prompting his colleague to jokingly suggest he leave. Cheol-su takes the joke in stride, showcasing his ability to adapt to the team's dynamic. Cheol-su is told to leave, but he refuses, revealing his ambitious dream of becoming the company's CEO. His colleague is skeptical, but Cheol-su is undeterred. Cheol-su is tasked with making copies and achieving a high TOEIC score within 2 months. He's determined to succeed, unfazed by the challenges. Assistant manager Lee Jun-hak is observed to be strict with Cheol-su, but Jun-hak senses something unusual about Cheol-su. Jun-hak confides in a colleague, expressing concerns about Cheol-su's unorthodox background and ambitious goals. The colleague disagrees, seeing potential in Cheol-su's passion and agility. Jun-hak's reservations about Cheol-su linger, but Cheol-su remains committed to his goals. Kim Cheol-su's colleague is struggling to send a fax, prompting their boss to intervene and reprimand them. The colleague is then tasked with making copies, but they're unsure where the copy room is. Their boss frustratedly points them in the right direction. Jung Yumi is having a tough first day, feeling overwhelmed and unsupported. She's grateful when Cheol-su offers to help her with the copier, patiently explaining how it works. Yumi thanks Cheol-su, impressed that he seems to know the ropes despite it being his first day too. Cheol-su is humble, encouraging Yumi to ask for help whenever she needs it. Just then, their boss shouts at Yumi again, causing Cheol-su to intervene and defend her. Yumi apologizes and promises to repay Cheol-su's kindness. Cheol-su thinks to himself that the way the female employees are being treated is unacceptable, and confirms his suspicion that he has indeed traveled back in time. The boss's behavior is a stark reminder of the past's outdated attitudes and treatment of employees. As the day unfolds, Cheol-su continues to observe and learn, taking mental notes of the company's dynamics and politics. Kim Cheol-su's colleague is berating him, demanding to know where the coffee is. Cheol-su hastily hands it over, and his colleague criticizes him for not adding enough cream to the vice president's coffee. Cheol-su thinks to himself about the strict hierarchy and cutthroat nature of Korean companies, where standing out can be a liability. He recalls his past experiences and vows to make this time different. Cheol-su is tasked with making copies of a document, which he recognizes as a trade fraud scheme that a senior colleague, Pyo, fell for in the past. Cheol-su's eyes widen as he processes the implications, wondering what other secrets and scandals lie beneath the surface of the company. As he makes the copies, Cheol-su can't help but think about the complexities and challenges of navigating this treacherous corporate landscape. With his insider knowledge and determination, Kim Cheol-su is deep in thought, recalling a past incident involving a fraudulent payment for importing oranges from Cambodia, which led to Team 5's downfall. He wonders if this event is connected to his current situation. As the workday ends, Cheol-su's colleagues express their relief and exhaustion. One of them jokes about their kids not recognizing them due to their long working hours. Kim Cheol-su is wrapping up his first day at the office, and his colleagues are inviting him out for drinks. Cheol-su declines, citing a task he needs to complete, but his colleague is skeptical, wondering if Cheol-su is already getting special treatment. Cheol-su's colleague jokes about only making coffee all day and getting screamed at, but Cheol-su commiserates, sharing his own struggles. Assistant manager Lee Junhak approaches Cheol-su, who is studying intently. Junhak teases Cheol-su about studying on his own time, but Cheol-su explains he's trying to understand the team's dynamics. Junhak is impressed by Cheol-su's initiative and asks him to share his findings. Cheol-su reveals his research on the company's import and distribution of Cambodian fruit, and Junhak is pleased with Cheol-su's progress. Kim Cheol-su is explaining the details of the fruit import business to assistant manager Lee Junhak, highlighting the potential for profit by purchasing the fruit at a low price and selling it to domestic health food processors. Cheol-su shares his knowledge of trade practices, learned during his training, emphasizing the importance of double-checking companies when doing business with developing countries. Cheol-su reveals that he discovered a discrepancy in the report, finding that the phone number listed for the CEO was being used by multiple companies. Junhak is intrigued, asking if this is a common occurrence. Cheol-su's colleague, Il-su, is called out for his potential role in the mishap, and he offers to contact the company to investigate further. As the team discusses the issue, they realize that the company's requirements seemed suspiciously easy, and they breathe a sigh of relief that they caught the potential scam before making the advance payment. With Cheol-su's quick thinking and knowledge, the team is able to avoid a potentially costly mistake. Manager Il-su is discussing how to handle the situation with the potentially fraudulent company, and he decides to find a new company that meets the necessary qualifications. He's impressed that Kim Cheol-su discovered the issue and praises his diligence. As the team prepares to leave, Il-su thanks Cheol-su for his hard work and invites him to join them for drinks. Cheol-su accepts, and they welcome him to the team with a toast. As they celebrate, Cheol-su thinks to himself about how much has happened already. Kim Cheol-su wakes up to the sound of his mom making dried palak soup in the kitchen. He's surprised she's up and about, especially since she's supposed to go back to work at the restaurant today. Cheol-su heads to work, still feeling the effects of the previous night's drinking session. His colleague teases him about his energy levels despite his hangover. Cheol-su thinks to himself about the heavy drinkers in the sales team and how they've contributed to his own struggles with alcoholism. As Cheol-su arrives at the office, his team leader is already there, sipping on a cup of coffee. Cheol-su apologizes for being late and promises to come in earlier from now on. His team leader advises him to always arrive before his seniors, sharing a humorous anecdote about his own experiences as the youngest team member. Meanwhile, advisor Il-su is discussing Cheol-su's impressive skills with team leader Lee. Il-su wonders if Cheol-su might be a spy sent by executive manager Park, given his unusual background and skills. Lee is skeptical, but Il-su is convinced that there's more to Cheol-su's story. As they continue to speculate, he's chatting with team leader Lee, who's taking a break outside, when he mentions receiving a request from manager Park Jun-hyung to report on Team Sales 5's activities. Lee is intrigued and asks him to explain. He shares his conversation with Park, including his request to seek Lee's preliminary review before reporting back to Park. Lee is impressed with his initiative and agrees to the arrangement. He's taken aback by the mention of monitoring, clarifying that Manager Park's request was related to an HR task. He apologizes if he said anything uncomfortable and asks to keep the conversation private. Team leader Lee cautions him not to share the conversation with Junhak, and he agrees, deciding to head inside. Lee wonders why he can't share the information with Junhak, and he explains that it's better for Junhak to remain unaware, especially regarding Manager Park. Lee is concerned about the potential consequences and decides to let him leave early. As he departs, he thinks to himself that he's learned how to navigate complex situations, cutting ties while pretending to be oblivious. He's confident that even if others try to interfere, the impact won't be significant. Meanwhile, the CEO arrives, and he's greeted with a warm welcome. The team leader An is sharing a story about the new employee, Kim Cheol-su, and his ambitious dream of becoming the CEO of the company. An's colleague is amused by the newcomer's confidence, but An shares an inspiring story about the president of Hanyang, Ryu Ji-hoon, who rose from an ordinary worker to the top position. Just then, President Ryu arrives, and An greets him warmly. Ryu asks An what's on his mind, and An shares his thoughts on the importance of having a support system in the workplace. He emphasizes that even when results aren't ideal, having the right people to push and support you can make all the difference. Ryu listens intently, and An thinks to himself that the president has a calculating nature, judging people as means to an end. An continues, suggesting it's time to put pressure on Executive Director Choi's line, and Ryu agrees, highlighting the importance of rewarding hard work to avoid feelings of unappreciation. The conversation turns to the training of new employees, and Ryu inquires about the progress. Kim Cheol-su is navigating a complex situation, thinking to himself that the line is certain and he's trying to make sense of the dynamics at play. He's at the Blue House, a place rumored to be where Executive Director Choi Young-jun meets his mistress, the CEO. Cheol-su is surprised to find himself in the midst of an audition, and he's hesitant at first, but then decides to go for it. He asks if they have a guitar, and the CEO, intrigued by his confidence, agrees to let him sing. As Cheol-su begins to sing, he's in his element, and his passion shines through. The CEO is impressed, and after he finishes, she offers him a job at her shop on weekends. Cheol-su is taken aback, unsure of what to make of the offer. As he interacts with the CEO, he's aware of the power dynamics at play, and he's trying to navigate the situation with caution. Kim Cheol-su returns home, bearing gifts of food for his family. His sibling is excited to see what he's brought, and his mom is grateful for the thoughtful gesture. As they eat together, Cheol-su's mom asks why he bought food when he should be getting fed at work. Cheol-su thinks to himself that he needs to earn more to support his family, especially since his mom has been working hard at the restaurant since his dad passed away. He reflects on how his mom never complained or showed her tiredness, but eventually passed away from lung cancer. Cheol-su asks his mom if she could go back in time and change her life. What would she do? His mom replies that she has no regrets raising her children and is grateful they grew up healthy. The conversation is interrupted by his mom shoving a chicken leg into his mouth, telling him to shut up and eat. The next day, Cheol-su heads to the seminar room for new employee training, which will last for 4 weeks. He thinks to himself that this training is crucial for his future success. The instructor begins discussing the importance of Six Sigma in the 21st century business industry. Cheol-su recalls a past incident related to Six Sigma and wonders what other challenges lie ahead. Thanks for tuning in. If you're hooked and want more, please comment and subscribe. Your comments and subscriptions fuel my motivation to continue. I'll see you in the next part.